Hello, and thank you for joining us. This is No Soundbites Allowed, and I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I'm very happy to have you here with us today. Today, we're going to be looking at the answer to what happens when you tell a generation that America is bad, that you tell a generation that 2 + 2 = racism, that you tell a generation that people are inherently bad just because of the color of their skin. What is the net result? And we have proof to show you what is that final result. But before we get started, we do want to say, if this is the first time that you've seen the channel, we welcome you. And we want you to know that we do long-form political commentary here. In addition, every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you, talking on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, DLive, and as much social media as we are allowed by the internet overlords to talk with you, to take your text and your chats and your comments and calls and express our free speech together on the issues that matter to us all. So we hope to see you next Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to help us join in this expression of free speech. Now, back to the issue at hand for today. Let's talk about this because it's a really scary thought that there is a ministry of truth, the Orwellian idea that actually exists and is growing in our colleges right now and will be affecting our future generations for an untold amount of time. Now, where is this coming from, you have to ask? Well, we can go back decades upon decades, but let's only look more recently. We can go back to, as an example, in January of 2019, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, a member of Congress, made this statement.
The criticisms of you is that your math is fuzzy. The Washington Post recently awarded you 4 Pinocchios.
Oh my goodness.
For misstating some statistics about Pentagon spending.
If people want to really blow up one figure here or one word there, I would argue that they're missing the forest for the trees. I think that there's a lot of people more concerned about being precisely, factually, and semantically correct than about being morally right.
But being factually correct is important.
It's absolutely important. And whenever I make a mistake, I say, okay, this was clumsy. And then I restate what my...
So it's clumsy for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to make a mistake. But she is making it very clear that for herself, for the Democratic Socialists of America, for the progressive left, it is far more important to be morally right than to be factually right, which means that to say something that is a lie, to say something that is not true, that's okay if you feel good about it. That's a very scary thought to tell our children going forward, that even though you may be wrong, if you felt good about it, well, then it's true. That is the most damaging thing we can imagine. And as a member of Congress who is responsible for creating new law and to improve our nation, it is required that these individuals must be precisely, factually, and semantically correct. That is the obligation of the job, because without that, it creates chaos. But she is not the only source of the problem. We also see from the Hoover Institution at Stanford University in October of 2019 that Seattle schools proposed to teach that math education is racist. You have to say to me, Mike, what does that mean? Well, according to Seattle educators, math instruction in the United States is an example of, quote, Western math, end quote, which apparently is the appropriation of mathematical knowledge by Western cultures. While everyone agrees that 2 + 2 is 4, 3 × 3 is 9, and that there are 360 degrees in a circle, Western math critics worry more about the nuanced issues, such as why we teach kids Western counting and not, for example, how Aborigines count. Going on, the article continues with, students will be taught how, quote, Western math, end quote, is used as a tool of power and oppression, and that it disenfranchises people and communities of color. They will be taught that, quote, Western math, end quote, limits economic opportunities for people of color. They will be taught that mathematics knowledge has been withheld from people of color. Now, I have to ask you a question. If you don't know that 2 + 2 = 4, then your problem is mathematics, not race. If you cannot do the math correctly and you can't figure out how much you should be paid from your job, that's a problem that's going to affect your economics, and it's due to mathematics, and it's not due to your race. Racism is not the problem. In fact, if we don't teach this, quote, Western math, end quote, which is the same math that we use to get men to and from the moon, that we use to pay our bills every month, if we don't use this Western math and we don't teach this Western math, then yes, the limits of economic opportunities for people of color and for all people will grow massively. Math is not racist. Math is numbers. People can be racist. There is a difference, and that is important. And if we're wasting our time teaching kids how math is racist, they're not learning how to do math, and they will be economically disadvantaged. Going back to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she did say, and this was in July of 2019, that once you have a group that is marginalized, as an example, because you've been told that math is racist, and you learned math, so you learned racism, so you are marginalized. So once you have a group that is marginalized, once someone doesn't have access to clean water, they have no choice but to riot. I'm not even talking about Palestinians. I'm talking about communities in poverty in the United States. I'm talking about Latin America. I'm talking about all over the world. So you have no choice. You must go out and riot. You must go out and riot. She is advocating rioting, which, as we have heard since January 6th of 2021, is a call for domestic terrorism. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is calling for domestic terrorism, saying that people must riot because some of the people are marginalized, because she believes that she's right. She is morally right, even if she is factually wrong. And of course, math is evil. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is not the only one. And I am getting to the college. Please stay with me. But we know that she's not the only one. Also along for this ride, in teaching our younger generations about America, we have Senator Cory Booker and Representative Barbara Lee, who are calling for a United States Commission on Truth, Racial Healing, and Transformation. What does that even mean? We have no idea because they don't explain it. It's never described. All we know is they want a commission on truth, racial healing, and transformation, controlled by the United States government. Now, this is the same government under Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez that is told that they don't have to be factually correct, they just have to feel like they're correct. We have racial healing controlled by the United States government, the same United States government that in its past approved of slavery, and the same United States that approved of Jim Crow laws. But yet Cory Booker believes that the United States government is the best agent to try and defeat racism, even though this has been in the past one of the sources of racism. Seems a little confused there. So truth are gone, racism is gone. How about the transformation part? What is it that Representative Barbara Lee and Senator Cory Booker, what are they looking to transform America into? It's a critical question. It is an absolutely important and vital question. It's not just transform, but transform into what? We don't know. They don't tell us. They don't tell us how. They don't tell us what. But we are telling children in high school, in elementary school, that this is the truth, that there should be a commission controlling who gets to say what. And if they say the wrong thing, well, they're racist and bad people, and they should be punished for that. In fact, we've heard that from Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. When people disagree with her, as they did in November 6th, she decided that she wants to create lists of individuals, an enemies list, so that they can be punished. That she wants to cancel people's ability to live their lives because they voted a way that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and the other Democratic Socialists of America did not like. And this has been likened to a ministry of truth. Because Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez has said, I do think that several members of Congress in some of my discussions have brought up media literacy because that is part of what happened here, referring to the election. We're going to have to figure out how to rein in our media environment so you can't just spew disinformation and misinformation. You know, the kind of things like just happened in Georgia, where the New York Times put out a story alleging comments from then President Trump that have been proven factually incorrect, that they lied to the public. But that's not who Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is talking about. She's talking about you, talking about me. She's talking about the internet and allowing us to be able to have a conversation like we are right now. That is not good. That if you're trying to deal with facts, that's a problem, because you should be worried about morally being right and being sure that math is racist. That's what she's worried about. Now, when I say Ministries for Truth, I want to make sure people understand I'm talking about the Orwellian George Orwell's book, 1984, and the Ministry of Truth, an organization for propaganda. Their only purpose was to make sure that the government was always right, that people had no voice and no choice, and that history was rewritten to match whatever the government wanted. It's a control, a power, an enslavement of the people. That's the Ministry of Truth. Now you may say to me, Mike, well, you've gone through this for 13 minutes. Can you explain to me, what does this have to do with colleges? How is this connected to colleges? Let me explain that. You see, there's actually a change that's happened. This isn't with the administrations of colleges. These are the students themselves. In particular, we're talking about Binghamton University. And I wish I could show you the document on the Binghamton University Student Association page. I can't, because there is no transparency at Binghamton University. From the leadership, the administration of the university, down through the student body, the student council, there is no transparency. Students are not told what's going on until after it has been done. That's a scary thought. It's a Ministry of Truth tactic. After we've done it, now we'll tell you about it. So what we see here is, and before you, is a proposal proposed on March 9th of 2021 by the student body, the Student Association. This is a permanent addition of diversity and inclusivity education to new student orientation. This is a new training for students at Binghamton University. It is suggested not by the administration of Binghamton University, but the students. Because if it were the administration, they would be under scrutiny by many organizations and many parents. But if this is something suggested by students who have been taught that 2 + 2 is racist, that America is not good, that people of different colors are bad and need to be segregated, if it's coming from those students, well, then it's freedom. It is an expression of their free will, and it must be good. We must do that because that would be morally right, even in fact, if it is in fact factually wrong, if it is semantically wrong, if it is precisely wrong, it doesn't matter because it is morally right because the students are asking for it. You should be scared. This new Ministry of Truth, run by the students against themselves, has been offered here, where we see that using the idea that to represent the undergraduate students to the university and to promote and facilitate diverse activities, diversity, the student body is looking to move forward because of an Instagram account. An Instagram account is the key motivating factor here. An Instagram account and a comment, a joke that was taken poorly, that was taken as anti-Semitic when it was not. It is these two inciting incidents, given a training of these students in high school, in elementary school, to know that their math is racist, to know that people of different color need to be segregated and people who are of certain colors need to be punished, that they are inherently bad, that they are inherently evil, and that because America is bad and there have been two events, then it is the purpose of these students under the title and the headline of diversity and inclusivity that these students have decided that the new student orientation must be changed and that students must undergo a new sensitivity and diversity and inclusivity education. They must be re-educated, that they must be retrained. They must relearn and learn that being white is a bad thing, like in Coca-Cola, that there is a problem, and that to be a person of color is to be marginalized by birth, to be a victim by birth because you're born in America. And the students must be taught this, that students will undergo this process, this orientation. And if those students have not gone through this process, then they must go through it now, or even if they've done it before, they must do it again. And they resolve that this education is to show varied and diverse experiences of minority students on campus, including students of color, LGBT+, students of religious minorities, and they go on to say is that this would also involve learning about sexism and misogyny on campus. So you must go through this training to find out that Black people are inherently victims by birth because they are in the United States, that white people are inherently evil and bad and racist because subconsciously they have no choice, that you have to be pro-LGBTQ, that you must be tolerant of everyone's religious views except those who are Christian, that sexism is rampant and misogyny constant, even when there is no intention, even when there is no action on that, and that being male is as bad as being white or being Christian. This is the multicultural training that they want to have, that Binghamton University, as decided by the student council without any advisement from the student body, without once showing the students that this is the new proposal, without anyone knowing about this, they're going to vote on this and to make students have to go through this process that will be controlled by multicultural organizations and ethnic studies professors who happen to run the multicultural organizations, and students from a wide range of backgrounds that will not include students who happen to be white, students who happen to be Christian, students who happen to be straight, students who happen to be of a political ideology, say Republican or conservative, maybe even libertarian. They're not necessary. They're not part of that wide range, that full scope, that full body of diversity. No, their diversity is not welcome. This is a terrifying thing when you read this. And I've put this here before you so that you can see this, because the students at Binghamton University cannot. There is no transparency. They're not allowed to see this. This is the Ministry of Truth. These are students who are going back in time. They're changing the university to match their feelings of a progressive left ideology and hopefulness. They don't want the truth. They don't want the facts. They want to be morally right for themselves. They want to feel like they're doing the right thing. And you are going to be forced to do the same thing too if you want to go to Binghamton University. And you won't, and they had no intention of you finding out about this until after they pass the bill. And then they'll publish it. Once you are now held responsible to this, and the university administrators will gladly applaud them along the way, saying, yes, you have learned your lessons well from high school and from elementary school. All of our times telling you that America is bad and segregation is required, and that being white is bad, being straight is bad, being male is bad, math is bad and racist. You've learned, and we applaud you. Go ahead and segregate and punish your fellow students and change their minds. Make them think the way that we want them to think. Because free will isn't part of the curriculum at Binghamton University, apparently. Maybe you think I'm wrong. Maybe you think everything you have just read, all of the sources that I'm showing you, that this isn't a ministry of truth. And I ask you, what would you call it? What would you call it when we're teaching students that 2 + 2 = racism? What do you call it when we say over and over again that we need safe spaces, that we need to segregate people based on their color of skin, that we are teaching children about diversity, saying that certain people of certain colors are bad because of the way their skin tone is, and that they implicitly are racist, that those who have different skin colors are implicitly victims and have no ability to change this, that this is something that is inherent and you cannot escape it, and you are punished for it throughout your lives, and that the only way to go to correct this problem is to follow the orders of a small group of elites who gain more and more power for you doing this. This is a troubling time. This is the Ministry of Truth, and it is happening at Binghamton University right now. I've shown you the evidence. You can go to the Binghamton Student Association their student council right now and ask them to verify this, and they will. This is their document that has been passed on to us so that we can speak with you about it. And you should be troubled. It's always good to have diversity. It's always good to understand differences in people. But to force people to believe something they don't want to believe, to force people to do and act in a way that they don't want to act, that's not American. That's not the First Amendment. That's not equality. That's enslavement. If you think we're wrong, if you think we've misunderstood, if we have not gotten it, we look forward to seeing your comments. Please explain to us how we misunderstand. And if you have found this to be informative at all, if you liked it, please like and share this. And most of all, please do subscribe. It is critical because that allows for this expression of free speech and for you to have your comments on it. Most of all, we look forward to seeing you every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because we believe in you and we hope you're going to be well. Thank you.